page 46, exercise B, and page 47, exercise C, a lecture about migration.
Hello, everyone. Today, we are going to continue our discussion about human migration. As we said in our last class, migration is when people move to a new area or country and settle and make their home there. We discussed forced migration last time. That is, migration that people have not freely chosen to do. Today, however, we'll discuss its opposite, voluntary migration. Now, as we said last class, migration occurs when people who live in one place decide to move elsewhere and settle and make their home there. If we think about this movement, this migration, as being away from one place, we call it emigration. The prefix "e" added to migration means from or out. However, if we think about this movement as being towards somewhere, we call it immigration, with the prefix "im" meaning in or into. We tend to think of migration as the movement of peoples across international borders, that is, from one nation to another. International migration is probably the most familiar to us as it's often in the news, but domestic or internal migration is actually more common. That's the kind of migration that happens when people move from one region to another region within the same country. Let's quickly illustrate this. Show of hands, please. How many of you were not originally born in this country? Okay, I count 4 hands raised. That means 4 of you are international immigrants. Now, the rest of you, how many of you were not originally born in this city? Wow, it looks like pretty much all of you are migrants of some sort. Perhaps that's why you all chose to take this class? Anyway, so let's move on to discuss an important question about voluntary migration. Why do people do it? Why do people choose to emigrate from their home? Why do people choose to immigrate to a place they probably don't know very well? There are several theories that claim to answer this question. In simple terms, though, I find it helpful to talk about push factors, negative things that push people away from somewhere, and pull factors, positive things that pull people towards somewhere. Let's discuss some examples of these two factors. Broadly speaking, push factors fall into 3 categories, relating to the economy, to society, or to the environment. Economic push factors include things like a lack of jobs in a region, economic depressions resulting in a weak economy, and finally, a lack of economic stability. Societal push factors are those related to the culture or society of a region. In some cases, they may include discrimination against a minority by the majority. More commonly, push factors include things like high crime rates, low-quality services such as poor medical care or limited access to quality education, low-quality or expensive housing, and so on. And environmental push factors include natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, or droughts, pollution, and climate change, especially if it affects crop production. Pull factors can also be categorized as relating to the economy, society, or the environment. Economic pull factors include access to jobs, economic stability or better conditions, and the like. Societal pull factors include things like low crime rates, access to high-quality medical care, education, and housing, and facing little or no discrimination. And environmental pull factors include few natural disasters, no pollution, a good climate that allows enough food to be grown, and so on. Okay, now, the exact reasons why a particular person or group chooses to migrate are typically a combination of various push and pull factors, with economic factors often being the main ones. But even in cases where a combination of push and pull factors is strong, the decision to migrate and settle in another place is often a difficult one. On the one hand, life at home may have many problems, and life in a new place looks like it would be much better. On the other hand, life at home is familiar, and it's often easier to do nothing than to move. Not to mention that life in a new place is likely to be unfamiliar and hard in many ways. Many migrants choose to settle in regions that have a large proportion of other migrants from their home region. This gives them the benefits of migrating to a new place, together with the benefits of living in a familiar culture with people who speak their language, who understand their culture, people who can help them become accustomed to their new home, in other words. Despite this, migrants, especially international ones, may face problems in their new home. For instance, there may be a language barrier to overcome. Some citizens of the new region may be uncomfortable with the arrival of so many immigrants, which can lead to discrimination. The immigrants may not have enough money to be able to live comfortably, especially at first. Still, despite all of these issues, human migration continues.